welcome to its Wrestling Time Post Show. It is Sunday, February 16, 2025, and tonight I'll be talking about AEW Grand Slam, but I'm not alone. Joining me for this is my TNA pal, the simple man himself, Noah Foster.
Hello.
All right, Noah. So yesterday was AEW Grand Slam. Did it air at regular time, or was this at a weird time? Because I didn't watch this live.
First off, it was automatically going to be on delay because they were down under in Australia. But it was actually 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at night on Saturday night after the NBA All-Star stuff on TNT. So far from regular time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, that explains it. Because I was like, what time is this supposed to air? It didn't have a start time, so I was like, okay. All right. So, as we all know, Toni Storm recaptured the AEW Women's title in the main event of this show, which was the AEW Women's World Title, Mariah May versus Toni Storm. I don't know about you, but I really love the story that they told with Toni Storm and Mariah May. The whole all about Eve. I really, really like that. I just felt that Mariah May's title run was kind of lackluster, at no fault of her own, by the way. And so I knew going into this, there was no way Toni Storm was going to lose this. This was great. I really, really like this. I think both ladies knocked it out of the park.
Well, there's no denying that you could sum up that match in one word, and that was cinema. But the fact of the matter that AEW has been about the glamour ever since the incredible match last year at Wembley Stadium where we saw Act 1. And then, of course, Timeless Toni Storm went off to a timeless wonderland and returned with her own performance of a lifetime. Here she is, Act 2, in front of her home country. And it was a very competitive match where you could arguably say that those two women have carried the AEW women's division literally this last year. And yeah, surprise inside cradle, small package, a simple wrestling fundamental ended it, which I do think leaves room for a third act. I don't think this story is over. I do think a finality needs to be in play, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's called The Revenge of the Glamour, because what the Glamour did during her run, she tried to push the women's division a different way through her own heelish demur. And I thought that was a very unique character. I thought she was one of the most, I think, utilized and improved players of 2024 across the entire women's wrestling landscape. And truth be told, the caliber of competition against her, it was a little bit underwhelming outside Mina Shirakawa, if we're being perfectly honest. But again, that comes down to booking and the stories you told. They focused primarily on the main story, didn't make enough subplots with enough essence put into them. But I thought that she had a decent run, and the caliber of her as champion sets a precipice that she could definitely be there again and go even further. I'm expecting an even bigger year this year for the Glamour, but congratulations to Timeless Toni Storm on making history, becoming a first ever four-time AEW Women's World Champion. A tremendous match, but again, I think there was a reason that ending was very sudden.
I have to say, I don't know if you've seen All About Eve, but the way it ends is basically a new actress is supposed to do the same thing, or it seems like she's going to do the same thing to Eve that Eve did to for her name. It's at the top of my tongue. I can't remember the name, but the main actress. So I thought they were gonna go this route with maybe an up and coming women's wrestler. I thought she was gonna be the new Eve, but I guess it didn't play out that way.
I mean, you talk about up and coming. Again, AEW has so much potential in the women's roster. It's about booking it. I was thinking talking about up and coming people. Julia Hart, Sky Blue out injured. And remember, the last time we saw Sky Blue, she was embarrassed by the Glamour. Those were two people I think they were going to make a story with towards this AEW Women's World Championship run. Doesn't mean that they can't, but it just means that they might be on delay. So I think there still is a lot of room for the rising female talent of AEW to flourish and come after this title, Chris Statlander. But again, only time will tell. But I do understand what you're saying, because that's the caliber of a champion to put over the future. But I guess for right now, we're still keeping AEW all about Mariah and Timeless Toni Storm. But this time, Toni Storm's going to hold the belt for this act.
And I do agree with you. I think there's going to be one more match, the decisive win When that happens, I don't know, but I do definitely think we're gonna see it. I think Revolution is too soon.
Agree.
Maybe Double or Nothing.
I think Double or Nothing would be very poetic here. And again, considering whether it's just RJ City, whether it's Batman Tony Khan or whoever else has influence in this story, you could definitely say that they have let this story cook each time. And I think the finale is definitely going to be a memorable act and performance. But I think Double or Nothing would be very poetic considering that was the genesis of AEW in the first place. So I'm holding out for that, considering it hasn't even been announced yet.
Yeah, I heard it's not going to be in Vegas this year. So I'm curious to see where it goes. I would say a second substitute would be Atlantic City, New Jersey, just because there is that casino theme as well.
True, true. And that's always been the theme with Double or Nothing. I mean, literally, you either bust or hit the jackpot. So I guess only time will tell, but still a phenomenal all-women showcase. Our catering announcer, Aubrey Edwards, the official. Both those women were acting like hell-bent vixens. They wasted no time going after each other, wanting to destroy each other. It was truly one of those matches that you felt every emotion that both brought out in the freaking action.
Yeah, I agree. This was a great match. I'm glad it main evented. No surprise that it was a main event.
No, not at all.
Okay. So Grand Slam kicked off with a tag team match. It was Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher versus Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. I actually feel bad for Kyle Fletcher because he's from Australia, and yet Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, they got the bigger pops than he did.
Look, when you're associated with Don Callis, you're officially the scum of the earth, not named Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And again, you can't boo the likes of Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, especially the first time coming together as a tag team. It was as big as Goku and Vegeta in the anime series that people have made the comparisons with those two men. And talk about setting a precipice down under in Australia with all four of these incredible workhorses. But again, Don Callis, you are literally more hated than maybe House of Torture.
I really like those double tombstones that Fletcher and Takeshita did to Ospreay and Omega. That was really great.
Yeah, there was a lot of stereo synergy, despite the fact there was so much inexperience on Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay's side, but they really gel well together, and you can really see how well Don Callis has brought together this family. The entire dynamic surrounding Don Callis, two men endorsed and betrayed versus two men endorsed and brought to new heights. It really was a unique dichotomy across this entire, what was really top that bleep, workhorse rate match of the night, especially in a smaller 16 by 16 ring, considering they're working with the Australian Sports Committee. By the way, respect that. Again, AEW respecting literally professional wrestling in all of its facets, and seeing how well they work together in that smaller form was very tremendous to see, especially because that atmosphere was electric all night. Sold out Brisbane venue, over I think 10,000 strong. It was one of the most entertaining bouts so far this year for me. And again, I've never in my life seen a doomsday device that might as well be called a nuclear bomb after that one wing angel hidden blade combination was hit flawlessly for the victory.
Oh yeah, that was great. Honestly, this was a great way to start off the show. This was
No
a really
doubt.
great match. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely, because it sets up so much considering how long this underlying story has been going. When you figure about all four men's connections to Don Callis, and you figure about the literal domino effect of each man in this and the connections. Kyle Fletcher, Will Ospreay, Konosuke Takeshita, Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, Konosuke Takeshita, first match, of course, last year of Revolution. Then, of course, Kyle Fletcher, the two lived together, the fallout of brothers, one not like the other, etc. And it literally felt like all four kind of hated each other, but also all four men were looking out for each other as partners. And this truly could have gone either way. So this was a tremendous way to set up what was an incredible night of professional wrestling, and also tease a lot to come for all four of these men when it comes to Revolution.
I agree. I really like the way that Ospreay protected Omega in this match. I thought that
Yeah.
was really sweet. But at the end, Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay were victorious, and then at the end, both men shook hands. So great way to kick off the Grand Slam Australia. So next we get the TBS title match. It's Harley Cameron versus Mercedes Moné. I will say this. I've always thought Harley Cameron was a fantastic singer. You know that she did the theme song for The Inspiration, Cassie Lee and Jesse McKay, formerly known as the Iconics. I have that on my Spotify playlist.
As do I.
Because it's such a banger song.
As I have their autograph right in front of me.
Oh, lucky. I have yet to meet them. I want to meet them. They're my favorite women's tag team.
Well, thank you, High Spots, for that. It's one of those things that I have so many talents I want to meet. I would love to meet Peyton Roy's Cassie Lee. But again, you got to, priorities are our passions. Continue.
Let me see it. Toni Storm is a 4-time champ. I think we get Mercedes versus Toni at All In once Mercedes loses the TBS title to Harley, hopefully. I could see that. I could see that happening once she drops the TBS title. I could see that happening.
In my opinion, she needs to drop all 3 of those titles. Let's not forget, she has 3 different championships for 3 different promotions. So TBS is just one domino, okay? If she's going to be AEW Women's World Champion, she needs to be fully dedicated to just this division.
I agree. Anywho, so Harley Cameron, she came into AEW as a member of QT TV. It wasn't the best gimmick. I wasn't a huge fan of her wrestling, but she's definitely improved. She's massively improved. And actually, starting to become a big fan of her. Like I said, I've always thought she was a great singer. Always. Oh, yeah. So that you can't deny that. But she's come a long way since QT TV. And I thought this was a pretty decent match. I think that she did make Mercedes Moné feel the wrath.
I mean, everyone was feeling the wrath, and they were loving it, especially when Mini Moné came into play not once but twice. How she came across customs, I'll never know. But yeah, and again, for a young, bright Australian that literally had less than 70 matches in a wrestling career, from QTV to becoming an Outcast Breeder to going to ROH, getting her first TV win against La Loca, Taya Valkyria, the Vendetta, on Collision, having a 3-match winning streak from that point, and then getting this huge opportunity in front of her home country, it really goes to show how much AEW has invested in her talents, not just, of course, in the ring, but of course her character. She's extremely entertaining. She's marketable. Heck, she markets AEWshop.com. So I think this was very fitting. And it's one of those things where you look at the performer of the challenger more than, the actual caliber of the opponent in victory, where it's more memorable what Harley Cameron did here than what Mercedes Moné did. I didn't think Mercedes Moné was going to lose, but I love the special delete that there was a couple of times you really feel like that Harley Cameron could have got this. And I think there was huge potential that she can become the TBS champion or even a champion this year. Plus, for those that don't know, Harley Cameron has also been one of the workers training with Mercedes Moné ever since Moné has been in AEW. So there has been a rooted connection there. So these two working together, it worked very well for both, but I think it definitely benefited Harley Cameron the most. You could definitely tell how emotional she was because she loves professional wrestling during her post-match interview. And I think the sky's the limit for Harley Cameron. And I know we are going to feel her rap throughout this year. Tremendous stuff.
She got a massive pop. She had a massive pop on her way to the ring. So that was really great. I was so happy for her. And I do agree with you. I definitely do think she will become champion maybe in the future. But this was great. I think she's, like I said, she's massively improved. She's come a long way. And she's very entertaining. But that's not the only thing that happened during this match. Momo Wannabe was at ringside. And Mercedes approached her, showing off her 2 belts, and then went like that with the belt to her. So, you know a little bit more about Japanese wrestling than I do.
Absolutely. Momo Watanabe, member of Hate, member of Stardom, faced Mercedes Moné for the WWE Strong Women's Championship, one of the 3 titles that I was referring to last year at Capital Collision. And also Momo Watanabe, she won the International Women's 4-Way at Wrestle Dynasty. That allows her to challenge for any title she once under Stardom, NJPW, or AEW, anything affiliated with women's wrestling as far as who she was in the ring with. And she was in the ring with somebody from AEW, from CMLL, representing Stardom. That's part of the Bushiroad connection with NJPW, and of course, ROH. She's already had eyes on everybody from Athena to Mercedes Moné. It would not surprise me if Momo Watanabe wants another crack at the CEO to get that NW Strong Gold or maybe something else with interest. Don't underestimate Momo Watanabe. She does more than swing a baseball bat hard. She's one of the stiffest strikers on the entire Stardom roster. And Mercedes Moné knows that very well. I don't think these two are done with each other by a long shot.
Wow, definitely. She sounds like a badass, so I'm sure when they meet again, it's going to be a great match.
And maybe she'll win this time. I'm saying someone needs to take away something from the CEO's portfolio. It's getting a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm surprised her back doesn't hurt yet from carrying all that gold.
Right?
My back hurts just sitting down sometimes.
I mean, again, it sucks being old, so I
Ouch. Know. You're just like a year older than me.
Well, that's why I said, again, there's so many similarities when it comes to our wrestling passion, but also just genetics. It is what it is. I'm skinnier than Ryan Seacrest. Put that in perspective.
All right, next we get a Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay segment. So with this, we basically learned that Kenny Omega has challenged Konosuke Takeshita for the international title. And this gives, because he wants to give Konosuke Takeshita the opportunity to say he beat Omega 3 times. Also, Will Ospreay officially challenges Kyle Fletcher in a steel cage match at Revolution. And he says that his name is Will Ospreay and he's on another level. And you know why I'm super excited about this? You know why I'm super excited? Because I'm going to be at Revolution.
There it is. You lucky. Dang it, lucky. But I'm very happy for you. Straight up, I already got my money's worth for this pay-per-view. Again, Konosuke Takeshita, yes, he had a phenomenal match with Kenny Omega one-on-one 2 years ago at AEW All Out, getting the biggest win of his career before Don Callis christened him officially as the Alpha. And, of course, for Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, they had a fallout from Full Gear when Kyle Fletcher said he would rather die a king than be compared to Will Ospreay. And, of course, we had the follow-up in the semifinals of the Continental Classic at World's End. Will Ospreay won, but he was still left a bloody mess. Bruv. So the way I see it, you literally have Will Ospreay and Fletcher one-on-one, and Kenny Omega, all right, you beat me once in singles, you beat me once in trios, can you beat me definitively for the title that defines what AEW was founded upon, the International Championship? And why Konosuke has defended this title now across Japanese soil and American soil, being a double champion and working 3 different companies, this would be a new lease on life on Kenny Omega's, I call rebirth, especially since he has that freaking Final Fantasy theme that is freaking epic. It would be something to see Kenny Omega walk out the AEW National Champion, the same title that Will Ospreay won last year from Roderick Strong Double or Nothing. So, again, I think it's a new lease on life for Kenny Omega, but it also could be another huge win for Konosuke Takeshita, considering last year he lost against Ospreay at Revolution, and so far the Alpha hasn't lost a singles match yet this year, and he plans to face the Ace for the, I imagine, the Never or the International title if he still holds it in Chicago at Windy City Riot. So a lot of pressure on Konosuke Takeshita, but also I think it's huge pressure on Kenny Omega, who's proven a lot that he still can go and wants to go as hard as he can ever since facing Gabe Kidd at Wrestle Dynasty. So I'm extremely stoked for both of these matches, but I just pray that Ospreay does not do some crazy dive off the top of the cage like a sky twister or something like that that's higher than the friggin' truss from Wrestle Kingdom 12, because he's bloody crazy.
You know, I still think Kyle Fletcher should have won the tournament. And then, you know, you could say it is Will Ospreay's fault that they didn't win the tag titles because, you know, Kyle Fletcher tried to cheat and Will Ospreay stopped him from cheating.
True, but again, that also comes down from the dark influence of Don Callis, why Will Ospreay had a new lease on life, because he's a family man now, bruv, with Alex Windsor.
I know. I met Will Ospreay and he's so nice. I met him and Okada.
Cheeky bastards.
I met them when they did Hard to Kill last year in Vegas. So
yeah, I remember you
really cool.
shared the pictures. You were there talking about new beginnings, talking about the beginning of TNA, where TNA is flourishing than ever since the rebranding once again of those 3 letters.
Mm-hmm. But I'm really excited for this. I cannot wait for Revolution. I'm going to see these 2 incredible matches live.
Still got to see an AEW pay-per-view. They got to get one here to Ohio at some point. But again, have a great time. I can't wait to call this with Walter or James. Stay tuned, folks. Super Reliable Studios, right here on YouTube.
Of course. Next, we get the Brisbane Brawl. It's Cope and Jay White versus the Death Riders in the form of John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. So, I thought this match was okay. I wanted more of a gimmick though, because it's a Brisbane Brawl. This felt just like a regular street fight, you know? I I wanted to see be a little bit more gimmicky.
Well, I was waiting for a cricket bat because I don't know much about
Same.
Australian customs, but I know cricket's huge down there. And if we're talking about the Australian Sports Committee, it writes itself. But yeah, legitimately, all this felt like was a lot of pent up animosity. And what you thought was going to build momentum for the challenger did the complete opposite, where it's now given that suspension of disbelief. Can we actually see the AEW World Championship at Revolution? And could Cope do the unthinkable with this opportunity? But regardless, it's a brawl. It's not going to be a match. It's going to be a fight. It's the Death Riders. It's never going to be a fair fight. With the Possessor, the Protector, Marina Shafir, and the numbers game with John Moxley's army, you knew this was going to go balls to the wall crazy. And of course, AEW loves to be interactive with their audience, as you saw Cope at one point jump off a balcony. Crazy son of a gun. But also, real quick, what an incredible moment by the literal Brisbane choir in attendance, singing Metalingus perfectly all the way through the chorus. That was phenomenal. But that being said, yeah, the biggest takeaway from this is Maria Shafir is still the baddest woman, I think, in AEW. Put her against any man or woman. She don't care. And I finally see what a candlestick is supposed to be used like, as Jay White obliterated over John Mox and Claudio Castagnoli's back. In the end, the bane of Jay White's existence, by the way, nice touch with the all-white Bullet Club attire switchblade, also from Australia. Willa Yuta, he whipped the man 6 times. He got a Blade Runner for his troubles, but eventually John Moxley neutralized him, and Cope, saying that he's showing that grit, he still was incapacitated with a rear naked bulldog choke. Message sent by the Death Rider, see a revolution if you can still make it. So, again, this was what it was and what I expected. The only thing missing was FTR, but FTR, I guess, wasn't in the building that night, and that could have been the difference. I think it would have been really cool to have a return for Rockhard Juice Robinson, considering Jay White and the numbers game, but also Jay White's compadres. But again, maybe that's something to come further down the line, because at this point, I'm holding out for Jay White to become AEW World Champion, because I think he deserves to. But we got Revolution first. This was what it was.
I have to say, I do agree with you. That moment when the crowd was singing Copeland's theme song a cappella, great moment. I was so worried when he jumped off that balcony, because I was like, you broke your tibia. Doing something similar on this off the steel cage. Don't do this. Luckily, he wasn't hurt. Luckily.
Yeah, luckily, crazy 50-plus old son of a gun. And then, again, those tables, yeesh.
Yeah. I wonder if Beth Phoenix is going to come and play a role in this. I mean, she's not with the WWE anymore, and I could see her going toe-to-toe with Marina.
I'm waiting for a Glamazon to show up. John Moxley and Rhea Shafir versus Beth Phoenix and Cope. Take my money.
Right. But the Death Riders were victorious, and afterwards, John Moxley refused to release a bulldog choke from Adam Copeland. So, the Death Riders have momentum going into Revolution.
Something's got to give here sooner rather than later. I understand the Death Riders MO now, and I respect it more since the close-up Moné Paquette, but something's got to give, and some sort of revolution needs to be assembled if you're going to beat the Death Riders at this point. The hardest 3 seconds you can get. How you pin John Moxley when he's got Shafir always at his corner and 3 other Death Riders waiting in the wings. And apparently that's not all he has, which really has me worried about Revolution, considering where it's at.
Are you referring to the Bucks?
Nope, but I am referring to somebody that the Bucks rolled with a lot last year that also is from California and is a son of a famous actor.
Jack Perry.
Ding, ding. Jack Perry hasn't been seen since Full Gear, and the last time John Moxley and Jack Perry were face-to-face says, you know what, kid? You're all right. Just saying.
Interesting. All right, last but certainly not least, we get the AEW Continental title match. It's Okada versus Buddy Matthews. This was another great match. I have to say, I was a little worried about Buddy Matthews after he hit the ring apron. It did look like he possibly hurt himself, but I haven't, hurt anything. And then he paid homage to Rhea Ripley by using her finisher.
Prison Lock, yeah, the reverse cloverleaf. He also paid homage with the jacket that he was wearing. If you all saw the picture, similarly, when Rhea Ripley came down under in Australia last year at Elimination Chamber in the main event at Opus Stadium against Nia Jax. But yeah, and again, the new lease on life that Buddy Matthews, Brody King, and Julia Hart have after the ring endorsements by Jamie Hayter, Will Ospreay, and Adam Copeland, now rechristened the Hounds of Hell. It really leads to believe that I hope we get more singles from all three individuals while they're still very strong as a tag team and, of course, as a dynamic trio that always has each other's backs. But Buddy Matthews, of course, coming back home down under in Australia, the former Matt Silva, he hanged with the Rainmaker and survived even the Rainmaker, which goes to his credit as caliber of opponent. First time challenging for the Continental Champion versus challenging for the National Championship a couple of times last year. And Buddy Matthews, he is one of those complete athletes with all the tools of the trade. Personally, I was hoping to see him part of the Continental Classic. Maybe I'll finally get that this year. Still need him versus Kenny Omega. Battle of the V-Triggers. But yeah, I thought this was a very tremendous competitive match. Great mental warfare on both. And Okada working the Ric Flair style in the end. Yeah, he got a crooked win, the mule kick behind the Brett's back and a second Rainmaker. But it goes to show how far Kazuchika Okada was pushed to hold on to the AEW Continental Championship. I love the laser light entrance, by the way. That needs to become his new permanent thing. As he approaches 1 year holding this title come March 20th after he beat Eddie Kingston on Dynamite in Toronto. So a great effort by Buddy Matthews. Okada respecting him, but still calls him a bitch. But again, I hope it means bigger opportunities for Buddy Matthews down the line. And hey, he did in front of Rhea Ripley, so it was a win all around for the entire Ripley, Matthews, whatever their last name is, family. And a great homecoming.
Did Buddy Matthews flip off Okada and we just didn't see? Because there was this one spot where he was kind of like doing something, but the camera didn't catch it.
Yes. Again, like I said, mental warfare. He's already called him a bitch, and then he did the flip off. And of course, Okada, one point, he did his traditional elbow drop, camera shot, nope. And then Buddy Matthews literally grabbed him by the middle finger. So not locked in wrist-to-wrist combat, but middle finger combat at one point. As he wrapped Okada with a stiff knee strike. He even hit Murphy's Law, but Okada, he found his way to the freaking middle rope. And that was the one crucial mistake Buddy Matthews made in this match. Otherwise, I think that very well could have been a new champion. I was expecting at least one Australian to win. If one was going to win, I was hoping it was this one. But it is what it is.
What are you talking about? An Australian did win. Toni Storm won.
I wasn't expecting that one to win.
I was.
Damn it.
But you're right. Almost all the Australians, aside from Toni Storm, lost. Kyle Fletcher lost. Buddy Matthews lost. Harley Cameron lost.
Yep. And Jay White.
I thought he was from New Zealand.
Well, still, it's Australia. I know New Zealand is its own continent, apparently, to some people in Australia, but I still consider it part of Australia regardless.
Okay, and Jay White. I will throw him in there too. Alrighty, we're gonna stop there because we did talk about the main event. We talked about it at the opening. So, Noah, where can people find you? What sort of things do you have coming up?
It's always a pleasure to keep on enjoying wrestling. People want to find me. I'm barely social. I'm introverted, but I love this business with all my heart and soul. You can find me on the Twitter and on YouTube, primarily at nfoster1916 for all things wrestling. And shout out to BW fam. Things coming up. It's going to be a pretty quiet week. I'm going to be calling TNA Impact coming from Full Sail University with my friends at the Simple Labo Studios. Subscribe to Rage of Wrestling, Walter Cruz, particularly. That'll be Thursday night, of course, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At the end of the month on Thursday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on February 27th. I have Simply Predicting for the WWE Elimination Chamber to continue our way on the road to WrestleMania. Other than that, you can always find me every Saturday night on the Saturday Shenanigans, hosted by the Regular Wrestling, JJ Williams. Other than that, you know what I always like to do. Just encourage and ingest your life into professional wrestling too. It's as simple as that. And I'll see y'all down the line in and out of YouTube.
Damn it. All right. As for myself, you can follow me on Twitter at @tel_talk, Raw, SmackDown, AEW Dynamite, TNA Impact. You can catch me on here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, occasional Saturdays and Sundays. And of course, for all things TNA, you can catch me every Thursday on Body Slam. I did do an unboxing today of my AEW Upper Deck botch of my my WWE Tops Chrome's trading cards. So make sure you keep an eye out for that video. All right,
There you go.
with that
All the things, all the freaking things. Shout out to AEW fan, by the way, too.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If I get to your support, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I'll see you guys tomorrow after Monday Night Raw. Bye.
Have a good night, folks.